Welcome back. Wow. That last podcast got me. I'm been thinking about it a whole bunch. Today, we're going to talk about Be Still My Beating Heart. And we're not talking about going to the school dance and the misbehaving hands and, the trembling, Twitter-pated heartbeats. We're talking about um,
You,
being calm, getting right with ourselves, just slowing down, calming the heart, and pulling it together, because it is then when we are not only then, but it is then that we can make clear decisions and just really, really be focused on our heart. And that's why Be Still My Beating Heart is kind of something that Lori and I have talked about, and we want to master that. Lori, hi.
hi, my brother. How you doing? How's your
Oh my
heart?
gosh. If I was any better, I'd need an excuse.
Okay. Well, you just might. Um, Let me start by just asking you this question.
I like questions.
Okay. I have a couple questions for you today.
Excellent.
How, first of all, we're talking about calm, and I'm just going to get right into it because this is a very big topic. Um, how do you defend yourself about anxiety to begin with? How do you defend yourself against it entering to begin with? And then from there, we'll move on to if it already has.
So I can only speak intelligently about my own anxiety. I can't, I don't want to ever assume, diminish, question anybody else's anxiety. I can only talk about mine. And I have dealt with anxiety and when I say anxiety, I'm talking about really, oh my gosh, I feel nearly nauseous. This
Calm.
is, things are just going to blow up. Well, when I was 15 years old, I was involved in a head-on collision. And in that collision, among all the other things, medical challenges, I tore a tricuspid valve. That is one of the major heart valves in your heart. That heart valve was not repaired until 11 years later. And when it was repaired, a little, basically a small rubber band, a little rubber O-ring was put around the valve to help it close completely and maintain pressure. Since that point, I have dealt with anxiety. It is it is foreign. There is a foreign mechanism, aid on my tricuspid valve, and I believe that that is the source of some of the anxiety. It is mechanical. It is not things. But I have noticed that um, depletion is good to combat it. Walking, exercise, things like that help. But when I lay down horizontally, that's the only way you can lay. But when I lie down, is when I feel it most. That's when it's most pronounced. So to defend my anxiety, I don't think it's avoidable. And recognizing it and moving my position physically, it helps a little. So there's the defense. I don't think it's just shut it off. I know that there's some people that are challenged with it chronically, and I feel for them, because it is a beast to deal with anxiety.
I like how you said that, because the fact is, just that you identified that it's a foreign object. You know, that's that stands as a perfect metaphor for what causes discalm, if you want to call it that, in all of us. Something foreign is going on. We're at odds with ourselves, or something is foreign has entered our state of being, emotionally or spiritually, however you want to call it, physically even, right? And I think so that leads us to the second part. it's inevitable that we're going to run into these storms and this foreign entry of things into our life, our journey, our equanimity, if you want to call it that. So then the next thing that we would want to face, the best that we can hope for, Leroy, is how do we still or quiet ourselves enough? Like you started talking about getting right with self, okay? And to me, to be calm, a lot of it has to do with just our maintaining our composure. And when I think of maintaining composure, for me, that means that my behavior is what I choose it to be, and I'm able to perform in that way by my choice, not responsive, not knee jerk. But that takes a kind of steadiness, I guess, of mind. So then my next question to you, and think about this, that you're giving your twin some heartfelt advice here, because I'm truly asking you this. And I think this would serve everybody the best to hear this from you. So given that foreign objects and ideas and intrusions enter our life and our bodies, how do we maintain like a steadiness of mind when this happens under stress?
One word.
What is it?
Inventory.
Okay, expand.
Want, need.
Okay, expand.
When we exhaust,
mm-hmm.
want versus need, the process of, again, I'm only talking about myself. The process for me, when I exhaust these things, it explains where I'm at.
Okay.
It justifies existence.
Ooh.
And it simplifies my objectives. So I may have said this one other time. Lori went through a bad breakup where I was definitely, I was uncomfortable. And I had been uncomfortable before because, believe it or not, I'm a really good salesman, and I actually got like 2 girls to go out with me. But during this breakup, I remember I was feeling this way. And I said, okay, I've been through this before. And I said, you're going to just close your door. You're going to stay in the house, take a couple days off, and you're going to spend 72 hours or whatever the number was in my head, 3 days maybe. And you're going to just go through every thought, every memory, and just exhaust it. And so I did. And I got into the ugly, like, oh my gosh, they're going to find somebody else. Okay, yeah. And they're going to find somebody that's better looking. Yeah. And they're going to find somebody that is wealthier. Yeah. And I went through all of these things. And the funny thing was, it only took about a day. And after about 24 hours, I had gone through every possible scenario about my future. I had gone through every possible scary closed closet door idea of what the future may hold, whether it was absolute implosion, whether I'm going to die, I'm going to be alone forever, whatever, ugly crying does to people. And at the end of a day, I found out it didn't even take me 72 hours, because after I went through I inventoried every possible thought, there was nothing else to think about that. There was nothing new.
Very good. Very good.
So at the end of that, I wish you could see this. Dusted my hands off, opened my door, took 24 hours, not 72.
Leroy, we are such twins, because I had written a note, which is, it speaks more to like an ideal than what I actually accomplish. I'm a little bit higher advanced in it than I once was, but I'm nowhere to the end. And it sounds like you were doing, because I was thinking like, how do we like return into ourself? Because I feel like when we're not calm, it's that we are having like kind of an internal break. Something's not integrated like it should be. That's what makes that feeling, that foreign. And when I was thinking about it, I thought of, I don't even know who said this, but this is not my, my thought, but I built upon this. And it's where to be calm, the non-rational part of the soul speaks with the same voice as the rational part. And I was thinking of that, and it's one of those thoughts that I carry along with me to kind of work out from here and there. It's probably like Socrates or somebody really early. I don't know for sure. But anyways, what you're saying is such a healthy thing in the sense that you had that unrational part that was neither here nor there. What if? That's such a good way to just antagonize an already uncalm heart or psyche, if you want to call it that. But to go through all those thoughts that start, the loop, that's what's maddening. But you actually said, it's going to happen. Let me see each thought that introduces itself into me from rational to unrational. It just happens. Nothing I can do about that. Let me see it through to its end. Right. And that's how you came to the end in the calm. And I actually, now this part is not all from, me remembering that, but this is what I'm just recapping what you said, that I think speaks to how we have to kind of recollect ourselves. And the other thing is, you gave it that time. Now you called it taking inventory and having a look at your wants and needs. And the way that I would frame it is the exact same as you. I think it would be to say that the same thing is happening, but I would say that you come back to a unified will, a will. So something happened to you against your will, which breaks your calm clearly, but you were able to return to, instead of what if, what now? And your will reached a point of like determination, where you broke through inner doubt, which again can lead to that hesitancy where somebody could remain in that spot and it could become chronic. The uncalm.
You actually gave a voice to reasonable and unreasonable, and you said they are the exact same voice. So this is the way I picture it in my head.
In calm, they would be right.
In calm and in irrational, same voice is talking to you.
Right,
but
that's right.
I'm talking about me. So your inside voice can be irrational or it can be calm. Now, I don't look at them as the same voice. I look at them as two separate voices. One of them has a lot of experience, the one that's calm, the one that has solved so many things in my life, because my life has been in disarray for a very, very long time. So, but that voice has got a lot of experience, and the experience is well-founded. It's successful experience. The other voice that nitpicks and threatens to unravel, it's got very little experience. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't really want the time. The time is the antidote because it doesn't really want the time. It just wants to interrupt. It's a bad behaving child, and it just wants to interrupt. No real place at the dining room table, but it wants to be heard. So it's like when you tell the family, you're all sitting around the table and you tell the family, everybody be quiet. Let's hear what little Leroy has to say. Little Leroy doesn't really have anything to say. He just wanted to be a part of what was going on. And that's the irrational voice. So when I stop and say, listen, I'm going to take inventory, want versus need. I wanted things to remain the same, But the other side of that is like, no, it wasn't really good. It needed repair. I wanted it because it was familiar. I wanted it because it was reliable. Well, now it's not reliable. So that's one less thing I got to worry about. You start going through these things. And that's the antidote for chaos, is giving it the time, because with time, especially time committed, like I did 2 or 3 days, you know, that are identified for solving this, hearing them out. I'm willing to give you 72 hours, but
Right.
you better come with something good.
To make your case, to plead your case.
That's right.
And then I got to live.
Right. And then I got to go back to what I'm exactly. But in that hearing the voice out, they didn't have much to say. Yeah.
I'm gonna come back at you one more time. So we're kind of agreeing. We're kind of agreeing and kind of saying, splitting hairs, but I think it matters to get things right with the heart. So you're saying that it's the two voices. And I just want to say, like, when I say that it's one voice, let me go back and correct a little bit. Let's at least agree that it should be one reigning voice to have sanity. And that voice should be your heart, as opposed to our minds, which run rampant if we let them. Our brains are, they're all about survival, and survival is ugly and bloody work, right? And they get, what they do is they get very panicky to keep us safe. They get panicky after we have entered beyond safety into danger and lost that battle. They still will keep us in the panic mode, where it's like, oh yeah, no, it happened. The lion ate me. But your mind is still like, and then what if I could get out of the cage and return and get eaten again? It's like, so when we're talking about having one voice, let's just say that it's one reigning voice, and that should be the heart, so that your mind, your body become faculties of your heart again. Because to me, a heart-led life is that your heart does govern your body. And that's where since I use the word govern, your constitution comes from that. And you remain kind of faithful to it to keep that balance. The other thing that you mentioned, Leroy, is inner. And it's so important, especially to hear a man say this, no matter what anybody thinks about it, because you're talking about your inner life. And a lot of people will think, oh, mystical, what's this? It's this religion, it's that. I don't do this, I don't do that. Some meditate, some pray. No, we all have an inner life. And what the easiest way to narrow down what it is to say, when me and Leroy quit talking and I have a few minutes to settle down and the phone's not ringing, and then I'm here with myself, the conversation goes on, but who does it go on with? Right. And that's your inner life. What you had done is near perfection, because you went into your heart with yourself. You weren't replaying without limits conversation. You weren't thinking of impossibilities that you would try to achieve. You weren't thinking of, or maybe you were, but it was not your end result to think of, if only I said this, the last dig, still fighting with somebody outside, because then you're still interacting with the world that has removed itself from you. But you went truly into yourself. And I think that's where you got the calm. That I am making a big deal of, because I am going to mark this day, and in my notes, that this is something to strive for. And again, Leroy, this speaks everything about the mechanical aspect of, what if you were in for a 7.2 month haul and you said mechanically 72 hours, and you did what a good builder does, contractor does, you overestimated and it took 24, because probably the biggest exercise was locking yourself into that contract that you made with yourself, right?
Yeah. I think
that's amazing. I didn't know you even
when we talk about a calm heart,
right?
A calm heart is like, we probably don't give it enough appreciation. But let me tell you what a calm heart does.
Yeah, okay.
A calm heart Why is it important? A calm heart's important because it will not deprive you of joy.
Yes. I love that. Tell me more. I love that.
So I look at it this way. And again, this is just what goes on in my head. When you're restless, when I have anxiety, when I have a bout of anxiety, everything has a place and everything deserves its time. So when I have anxiety, I start dealing with inventory. Am I dead? Nope. That's where I start. I'm not dead. Am I hungry? A little bit. I'm always hungry. Am I thirsty? Not particularly. Am I cold? No. So I start going through all these inventory things. And as my mind starts to work, it starts to calm because our mind is built around one thing, and that is making us whole. So when you start inventorying these things, you're like, well, there's a byproduct here. And what that byproduct is addressing your subconscious mind. Because when you start answering all the questions, am I cold? Nope. Maybe I am a little bit. Let's turn the heat up. Okay, there we go. Now I solved that. So our mind wants to solve these things. Our mind wants to be healthy. But without an inventory, your subconscious is going to think that, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. The sky is not really falling. We're just not looking at all the things that are right. So when we start, go to the fridge, even if it's just opening up the fridge, like, do I got food in there? Well, I got relish and I got mustard. I can make something with that. We're good. Go to the cupboard. Well, I got noodles and I got beans. I've been wanting to try new beans. It's like you start to solve these things and you answer the very thing that is attacking you and manifesting itself as anxiety for me. And that is like, wow, I got a lot of things going right. And you start to, there it is. I forgot to hang up the clothes in the dryer. So you start to solve these things and it's like, wow, it just displaces the anxiety.
I just had wrote displacing the negative
Yes.
with positive, which sounds almost like if I would just hear it on its own. Oh, you want to replace the negative with positive. That's a little too happy for me.
That's a bridge too far. That's a big leap.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable ever. I get very squirmy with feel good advice. But what you're saying is sensible. You could baby step displacing, right? Just by activating mechanically that and answering the very thing that was troubling you. The other thing that I am hearing a lot with you that you're saying is that it breaks my heart when you're talking about the subconscious. And I think we're going to have to carry this out into a much further conversation, probably following this. When you said your mind wants to solve things. And we solve things a lot of times by first deciding what a thing is not and removing it. You have a baby and the baby's crying. Is the baby in pain? No. Is it wet? No. Is the baby hungry? Inventory. None of those satisfy. You repeat and you repeat until you identify. The thing about this that I was saying makes me like a little heartbroken, but it's a beautiful thing what you're saying here, Leroy, and I hope you appreciate the weight of this. You've learned to parent yourself. You have come a long ways. Like that breaks my heart in a good way.
I still have accidents, and I have to, I still have accidents in my pants. But
no, but truly, there's a lot to be said that we have that responsibility as adults, because I don't think I always do that. I don't always eliminate what's making me. I know you come in my life and you very quickly are like, BS. I won't say it here. PG, we like to keep it, but you can spot the riffraff right away, and you're like, get rid of. I could tell you right now the 5 things wrong, but it's having that ability to do it for yourself is having the ability to control your own state of calm somewhat, right? I mean, there's always things out of our control, but at least within your control, Leroy, this is bigger than I see your face expressing right now. That's a massive thing that you're teaching. I'm going to have to.
I think
we have to expand on this. I can tell you that.
That's definitely like overshooting the mark. It's like I for me, it's just like I just got to get through this, and I just think that I'm applying just juvenile processes. Do we have enough information in the word problem to solve it?
Yeah, you do like that kind of math.
And I love
more than math. Yes, you
I do. I love math. Listen, a cactus is this tall based on this shadow.
Right.
How tall is it? Well, you didn't tell me how many days. At what time of the year? You have to make sure that you have all the information.
That's what I was thinking when you were saying that. When we keep answering the same questions, but we don't have resolution, we have to at some point say not enough information, and find a way to get to calm. We have to be able to be patient with that information gathering, right?
Well, and accepting of information, because our first thing is like, that's impossible. We deny things.
Wow.
We deny things. I mean, I wrote a poem, and I got it tucked away in a box. And I wrote this probably when I was 17 years old. And the last thing that it says is, over and over, we know the truth, and yet we create love in a pool of sand, because we just deny it. We know better. And a bowl of sand is a bowl of sand, but put it in your mouth, it's not water. You know better. And no matter how much you want to make it into water, it's not water. It's sand. So we ignore things that are, what? Let me change directions. Did I ever tell you that Joanne and I have these two little books? We each have a book. And when we first, if nobody knows this, I love math. Everything is mathematical to me. So in the beginning, I said, give me the top 10 most important things that are non-negotiable in your life, that you look for in a partner. And she gave me the list, and I made a list, and I said, okay, let's grade each other. Let me hand you back your list. You hand me my list. And I'm gonna put values on who you are based on my criteria. For me, it's like I wanted somebody that had, a sense of humor, somebody that was financially responsible, not reckless, at least. And so I went through and I tallied it up, and it was a good score. But I used the exact same methods and the same grading scale that you would use in elementary school. Had she got a 45, I'd be like, this is an F. It's an impossibility. If she got a 60, that would be a D. Fortunately, we're married. So, she graded well. And we revisit that all the time. We rescore it. And you know what? We become more compatible as the years go by. And then so we continue to try this, and our anniversary is coming up, and we'll go through it again, but it's funny. You have to inventory, you have to take a look at things for what they are. Maybe one of my wife's most important items is that, she wants somebody with good hygiene. All of a sudden I decide to quit brushing my teeth and quit showering. You know what? When it comes time to get that report card, so to speak, I got a 1. And I could be perfect on everything else. I still got a 90. But we know I'm not perfect on everything else. So it's real easy to go, listen, if I stop brushing my teeth and taking showers, I could very easily go from a B student or a C+ student to a failing student. So, don't be forced to factor in a zero.
Right. I Steve and I had a similar thing we did early on, but we did it on a like scrap of a back of a piece of paper. And we both wound up a little wounded and feeling a little distance, folded that bad boy up, tucked it in a Bible, and we have just decided to live sloppy happy ever since. True story. Okay. No, but for us, that's us. But that's that equilibrium that we've each found peace with. So it's what you can live with in your calm. Because that's a high standard. Like, even to hear that makes me a little nervous. I'm like, whoo, good thing I'm a twin, because I don't like, I would not rate as a friend as anything. but it's like, it only needs to make sense to you guys. And that's
right.
That's sure. The beauty of it. But I think what you're saying, more than as a technical effort, it's more of what's the first word that you said? The inventorying. It's not it's not so much inventorying where are you falling short, but it's become, it sounds to me, inventorying what you have and who you are to one another, which seems to increase. Right?
It may very well be that life is too big. It's too complex, but I can commit to 10 items. There's other things I do.
Yeah, there's a simplification to being calm, right? Simplifying.
There is. I can't succeed at everything, but her 10 most important things, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna participate in cooking. I'm gonna participate in having a sense of humor. I'm going to participate in teeth brushing, but inventory solves a lot of things because it makes it very clear, not what you're missing, but what you have.
Right. Inventory is about, I think we need to make a topic of inventory.
I like that. Let's do that next time.
We're going to do that next time. And I want to ask you about, we're actually going to pick 2 more topics right now, because there's a couple thoughts I didn't finish. The ultimate in calm. I had written this before we came on. In my experience, for me, when I have known that I've made some good trackway here with calm, is when I increase my ability to remain calm when others insult, injure, or just make things difficult for me. And the way that I began that was just no retaliating. And then from there, it went into a truer level of calm. So I do want to talk about that on some level. What do we do in the face of adversity to stay in calm? And the other thing is, just, I want to say it, so it's said, I wanted to talk about the 3 poisons in Buddhism and how they relate to calm. So let's head towards that for next week, if you don't mind. But I think we need to look at this inventory, because it's not a judgment. It's not a de-assessment, but it's an assessment of it. It's all about gratitude, I think. Okay. Actually, I'm not going to answer it for you. I'm going to let you explain it.
Okay.
For next time. I want, right. Because the truth be told, that could come across as kind of rough if you're like, I'm going to inventory you. So.
No, I mean, but.
No, I'm being funny. So that.
Right.
And facetious, so you can try to explain how it's a very positive, because it brings calm. It's the recognition is big thing, right?
It's funny for me. It solves restlessness. I mean, we are designed. Our thought processes are such that they're constantly trying to figure things out. For me, I happen to work in numbers. I mean, whether it's miles per hour, distance, clocks, bathroom breaks, fuel economy, there's just, everything is a mathematical equation. So much so that I'm even assigning grades to our compatibility based on our 10 most, important thing.
Yeah.
But that's not for everybody. But it seems like that if you look at things, I would venture to say most people, if you look at things and you give them the time, your mind wants to figure things out, and your mind is very content working through things. You just have to figure out how to like get working on stuff, because we're always working through things whether we want to or not. Rarely do people just get up and they're not on autopilot. We have we have that free will, so we're trying to figure out how do we make ourselves happier. Well, I've got a vacation, and so I'm going to need this much money, and so I'm going to set a little bit aside, and what can I cut back on? And I'm assuming that other people are like me and they have to pick and choose, but we're constantly trying to work through things. So I think that that's it could be valid for a lot of people.
There is a rhythmic something to working through things that we like, just like when you dislike math when you're first learning the theory, but when you get to apply it, and it becomes almost rhythmic solving problems, even when you make mistakes and you have to redo it, and a certain repetition does become comfortable. I like that.
I was with Ernest, our uncle, one time, and this is when we were both single, and I don't know how it happened. Maybe we were traveling together or something, and we're sitting in a bar, and he's like, man, he says, take a look at that pretty girl over there. I said, take a look at her. I'm going to go offer to buy her a drink. And I went, and she declined. She was waiting for, her husband, boyfriend, date, whatever. And I came back, and he's like, well, why didn't, that doesn't bother you, just the rejection? I'm like, nah, man, I'm pumped. He says, why are you pumped? I said, because I'm that much closer to a yes.
Oh.
It's impossible for me to ask 10 people, 10 females, if I can buy them a drink. It's impossible to ask 10 and one not say yes.
Well, you're so too. What if that may not be the same for everybody, but good on you.
it applies. Listen, it's a mathematical improbability that you can offer 10 drinks and some chit chat, and 1 out of 10 is not going to say yes. So, for me, it's like, I don't have no issue, because mathematically, I know, hey, I'm closer to a yes. Lori, good topic. I can't wait to talk about inventory more.
Yeah.
Something I like.
And a quick disclosure. I admittedly am on the spectrum. My kids are. So Leroy may or may not have a couple tendencies when you hear him inventorying and putting numbers to everything in a good way. We could put that to use, this love of numbers and lines. All right. Thank you for joining us. You can like and share the podcast. And please do. Leroy and I are talking about now. I'll be coming up to, with Leroy, 100 shows in about a couple months. And I think we're ready to make a choice to kind of start to grow. And we'll talk more about that coming up. So for now, what we will ask is, if you like us, please like and share. Until next time, we will talk about inventory. Please farewell.
Adios.